Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Jason Mackey's First 10, a quick hit podcast to get you ready for the day. Today is Friday, July 12th in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and it's a fun, interesting day coming off of Paul Skenes' day yesterday and a 1-0 Pirates victory in Milwaukee, helping them take 2 of 3 in the series. We'll talk a little bit about that game, more about Paul Skenes and the All-Star game next week. I also want to highlight my Sunday column, which is on some Penguins defensemen and some perspective that is important to maintain. But first, I want to remind you that we're sponsored by the North Shore Tavern. You don't have to be a baseball fan to love it there. The interior is wall-to-wall Pirates. There are appetizers, entrees, cocktails, and, of course, steak and seafood on a sizzling lava stone. Open every day. The North Shore Tavern across from PNC Park is Pittsburgh's home for steak on a stone. And I know Friday is usually the Q&A days. I'm going to call a bit of an audible because I have some things I want to say about Skenes and sort of wrap the discussion around that going into the MLB draft as well as the All-Star game. I'm going to be flying down to Texas on Sunday afternoon, I believe, to make sure I am there in plenty of time for All-Star Media Day. We will have you ably covered, Andrew Destin and I, from down there. And I'll start with this. I was going to start with my column about Skenes and what I think in the decision, but this is kind of, late breaking, or I saw it this morning, I should say. Torey Lovullo is the Diamondbacks manager and managing the National League team at the All-Star game. He'll be in charge of having the starting pitcher, naming the starting pitcher. And in this case, I don't see how it's not Paul Skenes, to be honest with you, with what Torey Lovullo said. And I'm going to read you a quote, and you can tell me if you think this means Paul Skenes is starting or somebody else. He's created a lot of interest in Major League Baseball. I'm going to be situationally aware of that when I'm making this decision. Now, Lovullo talked for quite a while about Skenes, and he's getting a bunch of text messages about who should start the game. And Skenes has come on very quickly. Lovullo said he's been an unbelievable addition to Major League Baseball. Obviously disagreeing with none of that. Again, going to talk more about his performance yesterday. But if you're situationally aware of what Paul represents and what you're trying to do here with an exhibition game, I don't know how you go in another direction, right? How do you start anybody else? Reynaldo Lopez, Ranger Suarez. I mean, great first halves, certainly. But you're not going to get a casual baseball fan to tune in to see Ranger Suarez. No offense, Ranger. Right now, if you would ask casual baseball fans, people that might not otherwise have a reason to care, they might not really care about watching the All-Star game, do you want to watch this spectacle that has been Paul Skenes? You might. And we're telling you, right when this thing starts, this guy's going to be pitching. Like Major League Baseball, it doesn't have to be this is the guy's highest WAR, so he's going in. He's got the most strikeouts, the best whip, whatever. Now, a case could be made that is Skenes. If you look at numbers since May 11th, I mean, Skenes has been arguably the best pitcher in Major League Baseball, and I don't think it's a very difficult argument to make. 6-0, 1.90 ERA, I believe 89 strikeouts and 66 and a third innings. It's just he struck out 7+ in 8 consecutive starts. That's a franchise record. Twice this year, he's gone 6+ hitless innings, 11 strikeouts. I just absolutely crazy to think about what he's doing. He's got to be the guy, right? He's got to be the guy. He's got to start. We'll see if that happens. Another point I wanted to make is about his future. I wrote today, and this is going off a decision yesterday too, by the way, with, Derek Shelton pulls him out of the game after 99 pitches. A lot of people wanted to see him continue the no-hitter. I was certainly one of them. I'm sure you watching at home, you felt the exact same way, and that's great. And people should be mad. Like that means you're invested. That means that, the Pirates have a chance to all that fun stuff. I understand and respect getting mad about it. I'm half mad about it. But do I think he was going to finish 2 innings under 26 pitches or under 21 pitches? Probably not. I mean, that's and you're also prioritizing the future. But at the same time, like let's talk about the future. And that's what I wrote. I'll get to that. I want to take a short break and with a message from the Bradenton Area Convention and Visitors Bureau, our usual thing on here. But I want to get to that and a little bit more into my column after the break.
Embrace the laid-back charm of island life while sinking your toes in the sand and discovering real, authentic Florida in the Bradenton area. Unspoiled beauty and pristine beaches, a vibrant waterfront downtown energized by local arts and culture. Fresh, Floridian cuisine with a flourish of rich history. And friendly locals ready to welcome you to this preserved paradise on Florida's Gulf Coast. Plan your visit today at BradentonGulfIslands.com.
Welcome back. And as far as the Paul Skenes stuff, I understand prioritizing the future. I get that. He's very important. But is he so important that you'd want to have him here beyond his team-controlled years, which the Pirates are going to get 5 more after this one, and then you figure if you're going to lose him, you're going to trade him for something, which I hope doesn't happen. And that's the whole point here. They can go to year with him through arbitration. And this actually, like, this has been an idea that's been rattling around in my head for, I don't know, a week or so. I had somebody text me saying, the Pirates should make an absurd offer to Paul Skenes and make him say no. Now, at first, I'm like, no, what? They're not going to do that. But then I started to think a little bit more about it, and it does make some sense. It also doesn't make sense too. I mean, it's just an interesting hamster wheel of a discussion that we can go through, but this is kind of what was going through my head as I wrote the column. Like, if you look at, I think the record for a first-time arbitration eligible pitcher is Dallas Keuchel, and I want to say it's 7 and some change. Call it $7.5 million. So I started with $10 million in my projection for a first-time eligible pitcher. I mean, Paul Skenes, he's been ridiculous. Let's just, it's been obviously been some time since Keuchel did that. They're round numbers. I'm not saying they're perfect. That's not what's saying is what he's going to get. Just something to work off of. Say it starts at 10. You're going to get 4 years of arbitration. Increase at $5 million each year. You get to about $70 million. Now, you got to give incentive to sign, right? Like, the Pirates would just be overpaying for what they'd be getting anyway. Say, like, we're going to sign you through your arbitration years for this amount of money. Like, why? They got to get something on the back end. You're going to pay a little bit more for it. Does it make sense for Paul to do that? I don't know. And probably not. And it probably doesn't make sense for the Pirates to absorb that much risk. But I don't know. Then I can talk myself out of it and think about, well, look at what Paul Skenes represents. Look at their ability to get that type of pitcher on the free agent market, which is nil. So if you have the opportunity to get it, every pitch this guy has thrown professionally. You obviously have a great deal of intel into how he carries himself. And I wrote in there too about his character. You couldn't draw up a better person. Even the workload in high school, I've been talking about it on here. It's been very low. Like, this dude knows how to handle himself. If you were going to make a first time ever sort of transcendental, I don't know if that's the right word, but like this crazy move, bet on a person, Paul Skenes is the guy to do it. Again, it also completely goes outside of their spending, limits. Like, we're talking at least $70 million more than the greatest contract in franchise history. So it's absurd money that the Pirates probably aren't going to spend. And there's a strong history of pitchers saying, no, I'm good. I'm just going to ride it through and get paid, my ARB amounts and count on myself till I get the free agency and then cash in a giant deal. I certainly get all that. But anyway, read the column, see what you think. Let me know. Tell me I'm an idiot. That's okay. Want to wrap up too, just teasing my Sunday column about this is hockey. My brain has been split half hockey and half baseball. Lately, football will come into play at the end of the month. But defensemen. I talked to Mike Sullivan about this, and it was Erik Karlsson and Ryan Graves, the subject of the conversation. And what they did last year, I mean, they struggled, right? Like, Ryan Graves, I think, was the more egregious of the two. You could make a case in Erik Karlsson, like, he did some things, at least offensively, to help affect play, getting out of his own end, keeping the puck, generating offense. The expected goals amount with Karlsson was very good compared to when he was off the ice. It was not as good, etc. You also can't look at Karlsson and what his salary is and what he's done historically and say that's been good enough. It hasn't. I mean, there's room for growth there. And in the column, Mike Sullivan talked about both of those things and talked about the adjustments that defensemen face going to a new team. I also called up Sergei Gonchar, former defensive development coach for the Penguins, and obviously a former defenseman with the Penguins. Just a really smart, this is just a smart hockey guy. I know my time on the beat. Just love talking to Gonch. It was good to reconnect with him. But if you think back to 2005, 2006, he wasn't very good early on either. There was a lot of people upset. There were a lot of people upset at what Gonchar did, didn't do, his struggles, etc. Paul Martin was another one. Another guy that I covered during my time on the beat. Really liked Paul Martin. He had struggles. It happens with defensemen. One of the things that was talked about in there was, they're the last line of defense. I don't think I used this quote, but Gonchar said, forwards, they make mistakes, and there's a lot of opportunities for people to cover up for them. When you're the defenseman, if you make a mistake, it's usually in the back of your net. So I think we saw that a lot with Graves. There wasn't much of an adjustment period. With Karlsson, I think it's a little bit different that he got to it at the end of the season. He was much better. But you need that for all 82. And I think it's important to remember that guys have bounced back from crappy years. And as we talk about the Penguins and, maybe what they didn't do on July 1st, where we see holes in this lineup or whatever, there's nothing that prohibits any of these guys from getting better or reaching a prior level of performance. Like not long ago, Erik Karlsson was really, really good. Who's to say that he can't get back to that? Same with Ryan Graves. I'm not saying that makes the Penguins a Stanley Cup contender. I'd be a crazy person to think that. But I think that there are areas of improvement that they can reasonably hunt. Tristan Jarry would be another one. I'm not asking for anything that hasn't been done before. So anyway, check that out Sunday. Thank you all, as always, for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. You can get this video. There's all kinds of video and podcasts and stuff on our North Shore Drive Podcast Network. Thanks to our friends down in Bradenton. As always, hope you all have a wonderful weekend. We'll be back here on Monday morning, I guess, from Arlington, Texas. We'll see how that works out, but we'll be talking a little Skenes in the All-Star game. Thanks again for watching, everybody.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.